Hello, thank you for joining me on this food law update. It's Thursday the 6th of June 2024 and today I'm going to talk briefly about smoke flavourings. In fact, I'm going to be talking about the, inverted commas, EU ban on smoke flavourings. Now this is something that's not really new, but it's hit the headlines, certainly in newspapers in Great Britain this week, and so I thought it might be worth commenting on it. Now, I say it's not new because back in November of last year, the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, published a report suggesting that they had looked at a number of smoke flavourings. Now, smoke flavourings, basically what they are, they're artificially produced. They're produced for a process called pyrolysis. And smoke flavourings are used for foods that where they want to have a smoky flavour, but they can't really go through a traditional smoking process. I mean, if you think of smoked meat, smoked cheese, smoked fish, then they would normally be put through a smokehouse, and that's a controlled sort of process, very ancient process. But if you're thinking smoky bacon crisps, well, you're not going to put crisps through a smoking process. What you do is you use an artificial smoke flavour. So these flavourings, they've been authorised in the EU for many years, and they're subject to a 10-year renewal process. In Great Britain, we refer to them as regulated products, but the EU call them authorised. So anyway, they came up for renewal. 8 of these products came up for renewal, these smoke flavours, and as part of that, European Food Safety Authority were asked to look at them as part of the renewal process. Now, of the 8, 2 of them didn't submit any data, so they didn't actually apply for renewal. So they sort of automatically fall by the wayside, but the other 6 did. And what EFSA did as part of the renewal process, they looked at them and they undertook a risk assessment. Now this time they decided to use a different methodology in the risk assessment. And what they concluded was that some components of these smoke flavours, and they are very complex chemical smoke flavours, but some components could be considered as genotoxic. In other words, they could affect DNA. Now we are talking about a bit of a smoke flavour. We're not talking about the smoke flavour itself, but in accordance with the new methodology, European Food Safety Authority have come to the conclusion that if you've got a bit of a food that could be genotoxic, then as there are no safe levels for genotoxic chemicals, the whole thing should not be approved. So they took the view, they recommended to the European Commission that actually, no, you should not reauthorise these 6 that have submitted the data, and obviously the 2 that didn't. So the European Commission obviously looked at what EFSA were saying and they decided to go along with that. So they're not going to renew the authorisation for those 8 smoke flavours. Now I say these flavours are used within things like smoky bacon, and this week we've had headlines, some of them quite funny, but I suppose there's a serious undertone to it because of the ban that the EU are going to introduce, and they'll be introducing legislation later this year to do that, and it'll be a stage ban. There'll be products will be banned from using these flavours between 2 and 5 years from the introduction of the legislation, depending on the product. But I think the Telegraph had the worst take. They've said that the EU had introduced a smoky bacon border between Ireland and the rest of Great Britain. So of course, because Northern Ireland has to comply with EU law in order to be part of the European single market, it also affects one of the institutions of Ireland, and that is Tayto crisps. So you can imagine there's quite a lot of fuss being made about the fact that EU are out there trying to ban Tayto crisps. They're trying to create this artificial border between Northern Ireland and Great Britain to prevent smoky bacon products crossing. I guess they'll soon be moving on to smoky bacon bandits, sort of breaching this border. But underlying all this, there is a serious issue. Now, the European Food Safety Authority have emphasised there is no obvious danger of someone eating a bag of Frazzles or Tayto crisps, because people have varied diets. If you're eating a very small amount of crisps and there's a very small amount of a genotoxic component within it, then the chances of you actually having an adverse effect are very, very minimal. But they decide to take a precautionary principle and actually prevent this from being introduced into the diet. What I've done is I've put some links underneath this video. You can go and read the EFSA statements and the press release issued by the European Commission, and we'll wait to see what the response is from the Food Standards Agency, because as I say, these products are lawful within Great Britain because they're regulated, but they will of course have to come up for routine renewal. So it'll be interesting to see what the Food Standards Agency how they respond to the smoky bacon crisis. Thanks for watching. See you on the next update.